I say good riddance to the first quarter, because this market slaughtered some of the best, highest growing companies and saluted the down and dirtiest industrials and techs that have yet to show any real growth. I'm telling you, know what they did? They went out of the good and into the bad. And I'm tired of it. But that's the way it is. I'll talk about a rotation later. No matter. Nobody I know was really talking about much about the market today anyway. They were talking about a new book. A book by one of the great writers of our time, Michael Lewis, entitled Flash Boys, which asserts that high-frequency traders have rigged the market against you. Do you know what I found was most shocking about this book? How about the fact that anyone finds it shocking in the first place? I mean, if you watch the show regularly, you know there's no news here at all about high-frequency trading in this book. That's right, Flash Boys isn't revealing some incredibly new, nefarious force that's stealing money right out of your pockets. It's about an ongoing process where a group of rich and powerful funds and their stock market allies use super-fast connections to legally front-run your orders. By speeding ahead of your order to buy a stock, they can take shares of that stock ahead of you and sell it back to you up a fraction of a penny. Those pennies add up. These guys make billions through totally legal front-running. Longtime viewers know that I've railed against this kind of parasitic behavior over and over and over again that Lewis suddenly reveals. I've been doing it ever since the flash crash of 2010, when some high-frequency trading funds failed to buy merchandise that many thought they would thought they would at least buy underneath. And that caused a cessation of bids to vanish. That allowed stocks to fall further and faster than anyone ever expected. And the market ended up declining 900 points in the time between commercials on our network. It was a travesty. And I immediately brought on then Senator Ted Kaufman, perhaps the most knowledgeable man in the Senate when it comes to financial markets, to ask what will be done about those who front-run our orders. While he castigated the front-runners on mad money, he also predicted the SEC would do nothing, because it didn't see anything wrong with this kind of behavior. Kaufman was right, and it goes on unabated, as Michael Lewis points out. By the way, Lewis will be on Power Lunch tomorrow, and this is something I think you should see at 1 p.m. tomorrow, because he's right. Now, front-running is technically illegal. If someone at a brokerage firm, say, knows of a big customer order, let's take to buy 100,000 shares of JCPenney, and another broker right next to him buys 100,000 shares ahead of the customer and then sells it to him and scalps a penny, that person will be prosecuted, probably goes to jail. Yet if a high-frequency trader runs ahead of that order and scalps, say, a penny, nothing happens. Somehow that's legal. It's absurd, but the SEC has tacitly blessed this behavior by doing nothing about it. Oh, and by the way, theoretically it's impossible for these bandits to lose because they're never at risk. They know you're coming with your order, and they always beat you to the punch, every time. As my friend, the well-known investment advisor Bert Doman points out, a pickpocket who is working his trade never has a losing day either. How about some bigger math? If the New York Stock Exchange volume is 3 billion shares a day, and the high-frequency traders account for as much as 70% of those 3 billion shares, that's 2.1 billion, which at a penny a day yields $21 million picked from the pockets of all those who are trying to make money in the market that day. That's 21 million every day. It's like a tax on trading that goes to a bunch of rich fat cats instead of the federal government. Now, I think it's an outrage, and I've been saying that forever. But the forces that back high-frequency trading and those who profit from it have successfully convinced the SEC and pretty much everybody else except for Michael Lewis that they're the good guys. Their argument? They provide liquidity, meaning the markets are deeper because of their behavior, and you end up better off because of it. They actually say this stuff. The high-frequency people routinely blast critics, people like me, as being uninformed and unsophisticated. Even his friends from way back who do this stuff freely admit this is exactly what happens. Yes, that's what I'm saying. People who do this, when I see them off the desk, at a bar, at a restaurant, they say, yeah, you know, Cramer, I know. But look, this is the way we do it. Don't stop it. Not that I could stop it. It's a business of legal stealing, which means I guess it isn't stealing at all. Even as I believe these high-frequency funds are right up there with Bernie Madoff when it comes to ripping people off. Now it's Michael Lewis's turn to go after these guys. He's an esteemed author who knows about Wall Street, extensive research. He also worked on Wall Street. And I wish him better luck than I've had at trying to change things. The forces that favor high-frequency trading and profit from it are far more powerful and much better organized than those who don't. And they have a bunch of exchanges working with them. It's how they get their money. Well, it's how they profit. The SEC is reluctant to halt financial innovation and has alternately been incredibly sympathetic and downright deferential, I'm not kidding, to the high-frequency mob. Perhaps this book will show them the light, especially given all the opponents that Lewis revealed and how there's an alternative way to route trades that would be more fair, one Lewis promotes in the book. Frankly, at this point, I've made my peace with these guys. This is one of those cases where you can't beat them and you can't join them. They rule the markets. They aren't going away. They're getting bigger. They're getting more entrenched as the traditional exchanges need their additional business. So, as a half dozen people asked me at Jim Cramer on Twitter today, what's the point of even recommending stocks if I agree with Lewis that it's rigged? Simple. It's absolutely rigged. But it's only rigged short-term. You can't beat these guys if you're playing for tiny increments, trying to make a living by trading in and out. They'll always beat you. But these parasites are exactly what caused me to write Get Rich Carefully. I wrote my book as an antidote to the harm they cause. In fact, as I write on page 179, so much for Revelations, we have to accept a new world ruled maliciously by high-frequency traders. And the only way to beat them is to invest, not trade, but invest in powerful long-term themes. That way you're not just competing for pennies day in and day out. You're going after major multi-year gains, where it doesn't really matter if the high-frequency guys scalp a penny here and a penny there. In the book, I highlight themes like tech companies that harness the power of social mobile in the cloud, or companies that promote health and wellness, companies that benefit from the new frugality post the Great Recession, some companies that can better themselves by acquiring competitors in anti-competitive ways, companies that are using innovation to make themselves stealth technology plays, not in traditional devices, biotech firms that cure big diseases, companies that cash in on our country's newfound oil and gas wealth. Look, it's a shame that the high-frequency traders have captured the regulators and been able to skin the system the way they do. You should now get ready to hear the backlash. By the way, I'm sure that Michael Lewis will feel the backlash, as I have for speaking up. The Flash Boys always claim their opponents just don't understand, and they don't recognize all the good that the Flash Boys are doing. To which I say, listen to me. This is my bottom line. Enough is enough already, Flash Boys. Just admit you got a real good gig going running ahead of our orders. Be thrilled the SEC blesses your front running. And shut the heck up as you rip us off, rather than trying to con us into believing that you're actually helping. It's very unbecoming of a parasite to tell its host, here's my venom, stop complaining, and learn to love it.